Last week we talked about one of the most common forms for the writing of the equation of a line. It was called slope-intercept. And the reason it's called slope-intercept is because the equation contains the slope, m, and the y-intercept, b. So there's our slope. There's the y-intercept. And so it's called slope-intercept because those are the two pieces of information that we get from that equation. This is given on the formula sheet when you go to take your GED. So you do not have to memorize that formula. It is on the GED. And this is the most common form because we can easily graph from this form. And we'll be looking at that soon. But there are other forms as well. Another common form is called standard form. And it is written ax plus by equals c. In other words, the x and y terms are on the same side. In slope-intercept, when we have y equals mx plus b, the y is on one side, the y term on one side, the x term on the other side. But when we put them both on the same side, it's called standard form. As long as a, b, and c are integers, so no fractions, and the x term is always positive. Always positive. Always positive. Unfortunately, this form is not on the GED. They do not give you the formula for standard form. And then there is a third form. It is called point slope. Point slope. Where m is the slope and the point x1, y1 is on the graph, is a point on the line. So m is the slope. Okay, so three forms: slope-intercept, standard, point slope. It doesn't say it here, but this is also on the formula sheet. So the slope-intercept and point slope are on the formula sheet. We're going to need to be able to move from one form to the other as far as slope-intercept or standard. Okay? So you will need to be able to go back and forth. We've actually already done this. We were putting the equations into the calculator. If they weren't set equal to y, we had to take them and change them so that they were in that format. So this is something we've really kind of already done a little bit. So if we're going to take an equation that is in slope-intercept, there's our slope, There's our y-intercept. But we want it in standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. So that means I've got to get the x term on the other side and get rid of any fractions. I've got it worked out here, but I'm going to do it again here and talk about the steps. So the two things that are wrong here are that the x and y are not on the same side, and there's a fraction. Well, I'm going to get rid of the fraction first. That way it's gone. We've talked about this before. You can get rid of a fraction by multiplying by the common denominator. Well, that's the only denominator. All the others, the denominator is 1. So the common denominator is 4. So I'm going to multiply that entire side by 4 and this entire side by 4. 4 times y is 4y. Then here we have a parentheses with a number outside of parentheses. When we have a parentheses and a number outside the parentheses, the number on the outside gets multiplied by each thing on the inside. It's just in this case, the number on the outside is on the left, on the right instead of on the left. We typically see this. We just move it to the other side. So when I take 4 and multiply it by 3/4 x, 3/4 x multiplied by 4. The 4 is over 1. This 3/4 written next to the x means that we're multiplying that by x. So that x is also over 1, and there's multiplication there. We're multiplying 3/4 times x. So on the top, we have 3 times x times 4. On the bottom, we have 4 times 1 times 1. There is our 3/4. There is our times x. And there is our times 1. The 4's divide out. So we're left with 3 times x over 1 times 1, which is 3x over 1, which is 3x. 4 times 3/4 x. The 4's divide out. We're left with 3x. That was the whole idea, was so that the fraction disappeared. Then we have to take 4 and multiply it by 1. So all we did was multiply both sides by that denominator so that the fraction disappears. The next thing we have to do is get the x and y on the same side and the constant over on the other side. So I've got to get rid of this 3x. The sign in front of that 3x is an understood plus sign, which means 3x is being added to the 4. 3x being added to 4. So I'm going to undo that by subtracting 3x. That way, that's going to add up to 0 and disappear. If I subtract 3x on that side, I have to subtract 3x on the other side. This doesn't combine. I can't put any of that together. So all of this becomes negative 3x plus 4y. Over here, those add up to 0. And I'm left with 4. So we got rid of the fraction. Now we've moved the x term to the other side. The only issue that we have now is that a is always positive. The x term is always positive. So I got to get rid of that negative. You can get rid of a negative by multiplying by a negative. So I'm going to take this whole side and multiply it by -1, and this whole side and multiply it by -1. Number on the outside gets multiplied by each number on the inside of the parentheses. -1 times -3x is positive 3x. -1 times positive 4y is negative 4y. 4 times -1 is -4. There is the standard form for this equation. This is slope-intercept. This is standard. Have to be able to go back and forth. So let's look at another example. This is in slope-intercept because it's y equals mx plus b. 3 is the slope. The point 0, -5 is the intercept. We want it in standard form. ax plus by equals c. So I'm starting with y equals 3x minus 5. Well, this one doesn't have a fraction, so that's good. We don't have to worry about getting rid of a fraction. But I need the 3x over here. There is an understood plus sign in front of that 3x. That means 3x is being added to -5. 3x added to -5. That negative is going with the 5, not with the 3x. We undo this adding 3x by subtracting 3x so that that adds up to 0. If I do that on the right, I have to do that over here on the left. -3x and positive y don't combine. So this is -3x plus y. Over here, these add out. We're left with -5. Well, we're almost there. The only problem here is that the x term has to be positive. The other terms, it doesn't matter. The x term has to be positive. The way I get rid of that negative in front of that 3 is I take the entire side and multiply it by -1. And as long as I do the same thing to both sides, then I'm good. Number on the outside times each thing on the inside. -1 times -3x is positive 3x. It's basically just going to change the sign of everything. Yes?
So why are we multiplying it both sides by -1?
Because I have a -3x plus y equals -5. I can't stop there. In order to be in standard form, the x term has to be positive. It has to be a positive number. The others, the y and the c, it doesn't matter. But the x has to be positive. Has to be positive. And the only way to take a -3x and make it positive is to either divide by a -1 or multiply by a -1. So it doesn't really matter which one you do. Multiplying is typically a little bit easier. So that's why we're multiplying by the -1, is to force the 3x to become positive. The -1 times positive y is -y, and -5 times -1 is +5. So what this means is that y equals 3x minus 5 is the same as -3x plus y equals -5, which is the same as 3x minus y equals +5. All three of those are the exact same thing. It's just the first one, the y term is on the left, the x term is on the right. The second one, both x and y terms are on the left, but the x term is negative. And the final one, the x and y terms are on the same side, and now the x is positive. Okay? Y equals -4/5 x minus 3 into standard form. This one is in slope-intercept. Mx plus b. We want standard form. Ax plus by equals c. Okay? X term is on the right, y term is on the left. We need them on the same side. We also need to get rid of fractions. I'm going to get rid of the fractions first. Denominator of 5. I'm going to multiply this side by 5 and this side by 5. Over here we get 5y. Over here, 5, well, let me write it the way it is there. -4/5 x times 5. Number on the outside, we're going to multiply it by each thing on the inside. 5 times -4/5 x. The x is over 1, the 5 is over 1.
Mr. B.
I want you to, yes.
So are we taking the denominator and multiplying it on both sides for all problems that are like that?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And I eventually want you to be able to do what I'm doing over here on the left by just looking at this, because you're going to see the same thing is happening every time. On the top, we have -4 times x times 5. -4 times x times 5. On the bottom, we have 5 times 1 times 1. The 5s divide out. We're left with -4 times x over 1 times 1, which is -4x over 1, which is -4x. You should begin to see that what's happening here is that is dividing out with that, and we're left with that, -4x. And then 5 times -3 is -15. So we took care of getting rid of the fraction. Okay. Now we need to get the variable terms on the same side. Well, here I have a negative 4x minus 15. The 4x is being subtracted from negative 15. 4x subtracted from negative 15. To undo this, we do the opposite and add 4x. Add 4x. 4x and 5y will not combine, so we get 4x plus 5y. Over here, these add out, and we're left with negative 15. I don't have to multiply both sides by negative 1 now because I have a positive 4x. I can stop. So there's no need to multiply by negative 1 because we already have our positive 4x. So there's our answer. We went from this to this. These two are the exact same thing. One is written in slope-intercept. The other is written in standard form. And we can check our answer here. Whoops, that's not right. Okay. 4x, that right there is not a negative sign, that's just a dash. 4x plus 5y equals negative 15. Then we need to be able to go from standard form back to slope-intercept form. This is in standard form. AX plus BY equals C. We need it in slope-intercept. Y equals MX plus B. Well, I've got to get Y by itself on this side and the 2x and the negative 3 on the other side. This is all I want over here on the left. So 2x minus 3y equals 9. The negative 3 is being multiplied, so I don't do that first. The 2x has a positive sign in front of it. It's being added to 3y, negative 3y. 2x added to negative 3y. I undo addition or subtraction first. So I'm going to subtract 2x, so those add out. If I do that on the left, I have to do that on the right. These add out. I'm left with negative 3y. And on this side, those don't combine. So we have negative 2x plus 9. Understood positive in front of the 9. We want to put the x term first. Then I have to get rid of that negative 3y. I do that by dividing by negative 3. If I divide this side by negative 3, I have to divide this entire side by negative 3. Over here, the negative 3's divide out, we get y. over here, we talked about this, I don't think it was last week, I think it was the week before, when we were changing those equations into the y equals so we could put them in the calculator. We talked about if we go all the way back to unit 1, where we did adding and subtracting fractions, and we had 2/5 plus 1/4. In order to add those together, we have to have a common denominator. Multiply by 4, multiply by 4, we get 8. Multiply 5, multiply by 5, we get 5. The denominators are the same, so the denominator in my answer is the same. 8 plus 5 is 13. Well, this 13 was the 8 plus 5. What if I didn't put the 8 and the 5 together? Then it would be 8 plus 5 over 20. It's just we keep going and add the 8 and the 5 and put it together. But isn't this also the same as 7 plus 6 over 20? Take the 1 from this 8 and put it over here with that. Or it's the same as 6 plus 7 over 20. Take another one from this 7 and give it over here to the 6. Which means that if I were at this point, I could go back to this and write 6 over 20 plus 7 over 20. Right? Because if 8/20 plus 5/20 is 13/20, then 13/20 is 8/20 plus 5/20. Or it is 6/20 plus 7/20. 9/11 is 8 plus 1/11. Or it is what? 6 plus 3/11. Or it's 5 plus 4/11. Which means that this is 8/11 plus 1/11. This is 6/11 plus 3/11. This is 5/11 plus 4/11. All I am doing is taking something that we have done a million times and going the opposite way. That's all I'm doing. We've done this to this to this. We've done this to this to this. Now I'm just going the other way. So, as long as I have one thing in the denominator, I can split up the top and create two new fractions. So this is also negative 2x over negative 3 plus 9 over negative 3. If I gave you negative 2x over negative 3 plus 9 over negative 3, we have a common denominator, so my denominator is negative 3, and we add the stuff together on the top. But because one of those is a variable term and the other is a constant, we can't put them together, so we would have to stop there. I'm just taking this and going backwards. Taking this and going backwards. Now all we got to do is simplify this stuff. We've talked about the fact that if I have negative 2x over a number, I can take that x and it can just jump right out here in front of, next to the fraction. So this is -2 over -3. Well, a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So this is 2/3, and the x jumps out here next to the fraction bar. Plus 9 divided by -3 is -3. Y equals mx plus b. Slope is 2/3. Y-intercept is -3. Let's do another one. This is in standard form. AX plus BY equals C. No fractions, variable X and Y on the same side. The X term is positive. Slope-intercept, Y equals MX plus B. I've got to turn this into this. I need the X term over here. It is positive X plus 4Y. The 4 is being multiplied, so I'm going to get rid of the 4 after I take care of the X. We undo addition or subtraction first. The X is being added to 4Y. X is being added to 4Y. So I'm going to subtract X and subtract X. These add out. That's why I did it. We're left with 4Y. Then over here, we write the X term first, negative X plus 8. So we took care of getting the variable X on the other side. So we're a little bit closer to this right here. I've got to get rid of the 4 because I just want Y by itself. The 4 is being multiplied by the Y. So I'm going to divide this side by 4, and I have to divide everything on the other side by 4. 4s divide out. We can break this fraction apart. Negative X over 4 plus 8 over 4. This is an understood -1. So if I pull the fraction part out, -1/4, the X jumps out here next to the fraction bar, plus 8 divided by 4 is 2. There we have standard form. Here is the exact same line in slope-intercept. Y equals mx plus b. Let's see if we have another one. No, let's practice a couple of more of those. y equals 2/7 x minus 3. Well, the first question would be, what format is that equation in? It's one of three answers. It's either slope-intercept, it's either point slope, or standard. You can't just say slope because two of them have the word slope in it. It's slope-intercept. Slope-intercept. Because it is in y equals mx plus b format. We want to change it into standard form. Those are the two we go back and forth with. We don't change these into point slope.
Could you say either or, standard form or slope intercept?
Well, to the answer to question one, no. The only format that is in slope intercept. Now, the next question is, what are we going to change it into?
So that's when you would say standard form.
Correct. So it's given to us in slope intercept. We want to change it into standard, which is ax plus by equals c. So what's the first thing we need to get rid of if we're going to change this into this?
The fraction.
Very good. Yes, the fraction. Anytime you see a fraction, the first thing that should come into your mind is there any way I can get rid of that? Is there any way I can make the fraction go away? In any problem, you look and see if there's a fraction in it. The first thing you should think about is there any way I can make that fraction go away? It sure would be nice if that fraction wasn't in there and I could make it disappear. So if we are going to start with y equals 2/7 x minus 3, and I want to get rid of that fraction, how do I do that?
Multiply 7 on both sides.
Good. Multiply both sides by the denominator. This side by 7, this side by 7. 7 times y is 7y. Here, Again, we should be able to start doing this without writing everything down. We did this so that the 7s divide out and we're left with this stuff right here, 2x. Negative 3 times 7 is negative 21. Okay, well, we're a little closer. Aiming for this. So question number 4 is, what do we fix next? What do we fix next?
Subtract -2.
Subtract -2.
Yeah.
Careful.
We divide both sides by 7.
Well, if we do that, then
7 y.
we're going back to this. We're going back up here to the y equals 2/7 x minus 3. If I divide by 7, I'm going back to getting my y by itself. I don't want y by itself. We want this. No, we don't want x by itself. That would mean we're getting x equals something. We want this, ax plus by. Ax plus by equals ax plus by equals. What is wrong over here?
We need to get that 2x over in front of the 7y.
Yes. Yes. This right here is in the wrong place. It's got to be over here. Okay. So, Ms. Hababu, you almost had it a couple of seconds ago. You said subtract 2. We don't subtract 2, because if I subtract 2, then these two things combine. I don't want to subtract 2. How do I get that 2x to be on the other side? Let's go back. This problem. We got rid of the fraction, multiplied both sides by 5. I had this step right here was 5y equals negative 4x minus 15. What did I do underneath here? Right, we added 4x because I need to cross this out. I need to cross this out. So we're adding, no, careful. I'm not adding 2x because this is positive. That gives me 4x. Then I still got x's on the right side of the equation. Subtract, yes, subtract 2x. We're trying to move towards getting the x and y on the same side. So we have to look at, how do I get rid of the 2x on the right? It is being added to the negative 21. So I'm going to subtract it so that I can do this. That's what we're trying to do, is to make that disappear. But if I do that over there, I have to do it over here. This doesn't combine. So it's negative 2x plus 7y. Yay, we got rid of it over here. I'm left with negative 21. We're almost there. What is wrong? So up here, what do we do to fix it? We need to get x term on other side. Add or subtract the x term. You're either going to add it or you're going to subtract it. Here, it was positive 2x, so we subtracted it. The other one, it was a negative 4x, so we added 4x. You're going to add or subtract so that these will add out. But this is not finished. So, number 5, what still has to be fixed?
Do we multiply negative 1 on both sides?
Yes. That negative 2x can't be negative. So we have to make x term be positive. Make the x term be positive. We do that by multiplying this whole side by negative 1. Oops. Negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 2x is positive 2x. Negative 1 times positive 7y is negative 7y. Negative 21 times negative 1 is positive 21. So when you start with slope-intercept, you need to look and see, is there a fraction? If there is, get rid of it. Get rid of that fractional slope, because remember, this is the slope. If that's not a fraction, then all we got to do then is start getting the x on the other side. But you need to see if there's a fraction. So this should be, if a fraction, then multiply both sides by the denominator. Then, when the fraction is gone, if there is one. If there's not, then we need to move that to the other side. That x term's got to get moved to the other side. We're going from this to this. The x term and the y term are not on the same side. Here, the x and y term are on the same side. So we've got to get them to the same side. The last thing you do is make sure that the x term is positive.
Standard.
Correct. Standard form. AX plus BY. This is standard form. What form are we going to change it to?
Is it a slope-intercept?
Correct. So careful, Miss Wallace. We're in standard form. We want to change it to slope-intercept. We're in standard form because we have AX plus BY. AX plus BY equals C, and the X term is positive. It's in standard. Now we want to move it to slope-intercept. In standard, move it to slope-intercept. Slope-intercept is Y equals MX plus B. I want to go from this to this. What do we fix first? Go back and look at the other examples that we did just like it. We've got to get the y by itself.
Do we subtract -2? Make 2x -2x and bring it to 10?
Let's see if. So are you saying do that?
Yes.
Okay. Then we do that over there. So by doing that, what does that allow us to do? When I do this, over here, what does this allow me to do?
To cancel out your twos.
Yes. Well, not just the 2. Not just the 2.
The 2x.
There we go. We want to get rid of all of it.
I knew
All of
that.
this. All right. So this gives us 5y equals negative 2x plus 10. So we got the x on the other side. Every single one of these problems, you are either going to add the x, well, every single one of them you're going to subtract, because the x term has to be positive if it's in standard form. It is always going to be positive. So the first step is going to be to subtract however much x is there. So if the problem is given to you as 7x plus 3y equals 11, I'm going to subtract 7x. If the problem is 9x plus 2y equals 15, I'm going to subtract 9x. Every single problem, because you've got to get rid of that x on the left and get it over there on the right. And because if it's in standard form, the x term should already be positive, you're going to have to subtract it.
I get it now. So this is the part where we multiply both sides by -1.
If we do that, if I take this side and, okay, let's look. If I take this, if I take this side and multiply by -1, and I take this side and I multiply it by -1, this becomes -5y. This becomes 2x minus 10. I'm trying to get to y equals mx plus b.
Oh,
So that didn't help me.
Do we divide 5y and bring it over to negative 2x plus 10?
There we go. Yes. Let's see how this is going to let me do this. Whoop, that's not what I want. I am not 100% sure. This is not letting me do that. Okay. So we've got to take this. Let me rewrite it down here. Divide by 5. The whole idea is to get y by itself. The 5 is being multiplied. So we've got to divide by 5 so that we get rid of the 5. I want to do this. The only way to do that is to divide by 5. we're left with y. There we go. Oh, that's what we're wanting. Y by itself. Y equals mx plus b. The 5 is in the denominator, so I need 2 different pieces, not one all stuck together. So this is negative 2x over 5 plus 10 over 5. Simplify this. So the next step is to divide by coefficient of y term so that y is by itself. We divided by 5. 5 was the number in front of y. Now we simplify. So this is negative 2/5 x. The fraction part just kind of pulls out in front of the x. Plus 10 divided by 5, 2. So 2x plus 5y equals 10 is exactly the same thing as y equals negative 2/5 x plus 2. These are the same thing. The first one is in standard form. This one is in slope-intercept form. You have to be able to do this. This is only one piece of what's coming next. We won't be able to do the next thing if we can't go from standard to slope-intercept or slope-intercept back to standard. This is on the GED. So you have to know how to do this. So we are going to practice it. I'm going to give you some homework problems. So you have a reading assignment. And there is a math assignment, but I'm making a change to what is actually on Blackboard. So don't go running in there at 1 o'clock because I probably can't get I'm going to change what I'm going to do for the math assignment. So I would go in there later today to get your math assignment. Don't get it right away. It's probably going to be something like, I'm thinking 6 problems, 3 in slope-intercept to change to standard, 3 standard to change into slope-intercept.
This has been a production of D&J Designs and MathMan 1962. If you like this video, click on the thumbs up. If you want to be notified when new videos are posted, click the bell. And if you want to see more videos like this one, click on the subscribe button.